Imagine two people buying the exact same car. Same model, same year, same color. One of them drives it off the lot having paid the sticker price, financed at a low interest rate, with a full-year insurance policy paid up front. The other person takes the same car home, but finances it at a significantly higher rate because their credit score is lower, pays their insurance monthly because they can't afford the annual lump sum, and keeps the tank barely above empty because filling it all the way feels like too much money at once. Over the course of 4 years, the second person pays thousands more for the identical car. Not because they made worse decisions, but because having less money structurally costs more money. This is what economists and behavioral researchers call the poverty premium, and it operates quietly across nearly every domain of modern financial life. It is not a moral failure. It is not a mindset problem. It is a mathematical reality embedded into the architecture of how money moves through systems, and it disproportionately targets people who are already struggling to stay afloat. The mechanisms behind it are straightforward once you understand them. Credit systems reward history, and history requires time and access. People without established credit pay higher interest rates on loans, on credit cards, and on financing arrangements of all kinds. They are, in a very direct sense, charged a premium for the risk they represent to lenders, a risk that is itself partly a product of never having been given the lower rates that would have made repayment more manageable in the first place. It is a loop that feeds itself. Housing follows the same logic. Renting month to month costs more per square foot than owning, and owning requires a down payment that renting has made it nearly impossible to save. The person who cannot afford to buy is perpetually funding the wealth accumulation of someone who already had enough to purchase. They build no equity, they gain no appreciating asset, and they remain exposed to the volatility of rental markets in ways that homeowners on fixed mortgages simply are not. Then there is the small purchase premium, which is perhaps the most psychologically exhausting aspect of financial scarcity. Buying in bulk is cheaper per unit, but bulk requires capital up front. Buying the large bottle of olive oil, the full flat of canned goods, the seasonal wardrobe at the end of season sale, all of these represent strategies that compress long-term cost, but they require the ability to spend more now in exchange for spending less overall. When that upfront capacity does not exist, people are forced into the more expensive per-unit option repeatedly for years, paying what is essentially a continuous tax on their inability to access the cheaper alternative. Behavioral economics adds another dimension to this. Research consistently shows that financial scarcity consumes significant cognitive bandwidth. When people are managing financial stress, a measurable portion of their working mental capacity is occupied by that pressure, which impairs judgment, increases impulsivity, and makes it harder to plan ahead. This is not a character flaw. It is a documented neurological response to resource constraint, and it has real-world consequences in the form of decisions that appear irrational from the outside, but are entirely rational given the informational and psychological environment the person is operating within. The systemic picture, when you step back to see it whole, is one where wealth acts as a kind of discount card that most people never acknowledge they are carrying. The wealthy pay less for money, less for housing, less per unit of goods, and carry less psychological friction while doing so. The person without that card is not playing the same game with worse odds. They are playing a structurally different game, one where the rules themselves have been set to extract more from those who have the least to give. Understanding this does not resolve it overnight, but it does reframe what financial progress actually means for someone starting from scarcity. It is not simply a matter of spending less or saving more. It is about strategically eliminating the individual premiums one by one, building credit history, moving toward bulk purchasing as capacity allows, shifting from monthly to annual payment structures when possible, and recognizing that every threshold crossed reduces the invisible overhead that scarcity charges. The goal is not just to earn more. The goal is to stop paying the hidden tax on having nothing.